Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, it's ConsoleX, miss. Excuse me while I try to fit this on. Oh God. Oh no. Good enough. Welcome to ConsoleX. Here we have a guitar channel. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of controls going on here. We can solo it. If we select the channel, we can start adjusting it using the controls we have. On this, the control surface for ConsoleX. It includes things such as, check it out, a joystick for a high-mid control, or indeed treble control. Do a cut off there. We've got our top dB control. It's not a very large control, but you can see it moving here. So that's our big sounding guitar effect. Fool around with our low mid here. It's going to start right up again. Throw a little bass as well, we're at it. And we'll bring back in the Stone band, but not as much of the Air band. ConsoleX also includes what you saw previously in Stonefire comp. That's why I had you practicing with it. However, since ConsoleX has controls and lights and things, you get to see what it does with regard to these. If we compress the fire band so much, you can see the light go out as its amplitude goes away and you only have air and stone left. Or, if you did the same thing with the Stone band, we can step on the lows quite a bit. However, another thing that we can do is, you see me moving around these, that's because we can gate stuff. You can see the lights blinking out when the gate is going to silence. It goes to silence as darkness. And then the compression follows the same basic rules. Notice that we've got a little sputtering going on the gate, and that is because the gate sustain can be higher, or the release can be longer. Or the threshold can be lower. That's a good way to get a certain amount of impact into your sound. And then we can use the ratio control. Looks like I have the gate ratio for fire rather high up, and that'll let some of the dry back in. So now that we have that going on, we can bring everything else in. Here's our drums. same deal. Although with the drums, we're actually hitting compression because earlier plugins are hitting it extra hard. So we can allow that to go to a compression ratio of 1:1, and that way you can not have it suppressed by hitting overly hard. Or you could just turn the releases to really, really fast. And then we could have the ratios both be a little higher so that the sound we're working with on this, again, same deal. We have everything available. Let us throw some more highs on there. And again, top dB is very important. We can get a louder apparent sound out of this. Also note that we have a reverb which is doing something. And we have the same controls on that. We can pull the air out of the reverb there. And these are the basic controls. It's like these are the basic controls in, for instance, a SSL desk with the 4 bands and stuff and so on. Here's our bass. We haven't done anything with the bass yet, so let me do something with the bass. Oh, it'll start up in a moment. So one of the things that we can do with that is let's listen to what that stone band is doing. Setting a range, which we see wiggling here. Sets the crossover on the Kalman filter for this. Bringing that fire band back up. We can also do something like, here is the threshold and the release and the attack. So if we only had the fire band there, we can set up the attack so that it's a little more punchy, and also throwing in high mid. The EQs do not go through the compressor. These EQs are coming from the beginning of the circuit, so we get a little extra gnarl going on in that. And then we can put Stone back, maybe a little more of the air band. And this is how we do. You'll notice that I also have, in addition to the full band thing going on, we can do color coding. And what color coding does is this. We'll set the bass to a blue color. Now, one of the things that we can do is set it up so that it color codes the interface of the plugin. But right now, we're just going to put the bass on a dedicated fader. The master is on this fader on the end, and then everything that is not color coded is this black fader that goes for things that have no color or things that have been colored black. And we can also set the guitar to, let's say, red. And then on the fly, our guitar is now on this red fader. But suppose we wanted the drums also to be on the red fader. Well, guess what? The way that Airwindows works is that if you set two different things to the red color, you're controlling both of the faders at once. And that's how that works. There'll be more about that later. I will explain it to people who need help with understanding it. So I just set the drums back to basic color, and so now only the one that's color-coded red is responding to the fader on the control surface. Bear in mind, this control surface here, which I got made for me by Yale Techs, you could use any control surface. This is just the one that I designed for this purpose. And Airwindows doesn't require this particular brand of control surface. It just operates anytime you have a batch of faders or MIDI CCs coming in that you can set up in this way. You kind of have to be good at using Reaper scripting language. This is a Reaper only behavior, but you could use anything like Logic or whatever to map a control surface to this. It's just the way that I'm assigning colored faders to any number of tracks on the fly that is Airwindows. And it's the way that I'm controlling this. And again, it's not just controls, it's not just channels, because here's the master fader, and the master fader is also following something. We've got everything is chasing the faders as they go. That is, I could do more with mixing this. I'm 13 minutes in now, and I have already done a long video where it didn't start recording the screen, and I need to show the screen, and I'll tell you why. Remember how I said that this could use color coding? Watch this. User track color amount goes to 0.8. This is Airwindows Globals, which lives in the Airwindows folder in your Documents folder, wherever your Documents folder lives. Save that, close that, and check it out. We are now color-coded. When you open it up again, it is color-coded to the track that you're working with. Now, that might end up being a helpful thing or not. Again, we could have it be that, or we could have it be very subtle. And this is your method of working with these kinds of controls. However, you might notice that if you have a bunch of these, they might be getting in each other's way. And so you'd want to do something like this. If you wanted one of these to be horizontal and the channel strips to be vertical. Maybe if you're working with this, let me move this over so that I can assign it like so. You've got a control surface, so you know you're going to be able to make all of these things wiggle around like crazy using the control surface. You click on it and that's what it'll start doing. So you don't need to see the knobs as much. Like if you had the original Airwindows console, well, that would look like this. And you can make the control surface alter all of these controls, and it doesn't actually matter whether you can make any sense of it or not. This will run on retro computers way older than the ones that run these pretty graphic ones. Let me quickly cut that. The pretty graphics ones have these reconfigurable knobs. And again, supposing you wanted to have a bunch of these lined up and you knew that your master, if you click on this, you can manipulate these too, but you probably don't want to do wild, crazy mix things, EQ things with the master. So let's just make that be such tiny knobs that they vanish. And all we can see is the meter that's giving you a picture for what's supposed to be happening on the mix. It's different from Airwindows meter because that's more of a mastering-like thing, and this is more of getting a sense of what the mix is doing in a more creative way rather than getting focused on all these little charts of peaks and dots. But you want to have a sense of what your tracks are like if you were on a big mixing desk. And you might try to do something a little wacky like this, where you click on your bass, you can kind of see the meter up here. At which point you are manipulating these things as they go. And you can see the lights lighten up that are doing what you need to, as far as you can see whether the gating is happening or not. Or maybe you just go back to a more interesting arrangement, kind of like this. Oh, by the way, one clever trick. Here's our master. On the master, high pass and low pass are isolator filters. On the channels, they're SSS on. But you might notice that while this is blinking away and showing things, it looks a little funny, doesn't it? And that is because with these, some of the arrangements are designed to look as if you're looking into a angled interface, where these ones on the top, you're looking at the top of it, and you're looking underneath these because they are over you in a series of angles as they go. Now, you might not actually like the look of that, in which case you would turn user tilt to 0. However, if you turn user tilt to 1 in Airwindows Globals, you get a much more dramatic look. And it's kind of like this. The idea there is that it lets the knobs be larger even at a smaller perspective. Okay. Oh, and I have not got it selected. I select it. And the smaller perspective, now we can control all of these various things. And if you had the user tilt at 0, they're all going to be flat, much like when you have them in a 2x2 arrangement, kind of like this, or if you went for a vertical arrangement like this. But you know, I've got plenty of time to do some mixes and live streams and show you how to use the actual ConsoleX EQs and compression and stuff, and I've been putting those out, but what you have not seen is this. Boop. Turn that on, save it. Next thing you know, We've got a tinted thing because the user track color of that is actually 0.1. So let me, well, one thing I can do is remove that color and then it'll go right back. But if you want a darker look, and notice that I've changed the font, here is your path to a darker look that might be your jam. Also notice that those LEDs are now a different color. That's also user specifiable. The color of these knobs shows you where the EQs are because those are the colors associated with SSL EQs like treble, high mid, low mid, and bass. But wait, we can go even farther because supposing you use Andrew Huang's plugins. Now, he was good enough to put my most recent to-tape plugin as one of his number 10, top 10, that's fair because it's free, plugins recently. And so if Andrew wants to use any of these, well, guess what? I can make it somewhat resemble the colors and fonts and things that he likes to use in whatever configuration you want. But we don't have to stop there because we can get even sillier. ConsoleX allows you to specify a user image or an image that has to do with the particular. It seems happier with user image, but you can override that sometimes to specify images for particular. In fact, I know what was happening with this. So here's the deal. Check this out. I had a problem when I was recording this the first time, and now I know what happened. We quick save this. See, it says user image oak. That means we have a color that is a texture. And so if you are fond of like a particular look and this is your jam, then what you can do is use that. However, there is a special case here with regards to if you went to user image and then typed in the name of the plugin. Because you can specify on a plugin by plugin basis. We've just told that also to be oak JPEG, but there's a catch. See, if you do this, and you started with just the basic look, did a screenshot of it, and then colored it in a particular way, you could use that screenshot at the exact size we started up, and it would fill in. You could have the background be that, but then maybe the knobs would be, I don't know, aluminum look or something. And as long as you're willing to deal with the fact that it is a fixed background that does not move, you can try to do your customized thing. Now, this freaked me out when I was trying this the last time, because as you see, that is not filling the entire thing. And that's because the background image that I have here is not this shape. It's not defaulting to this size and shape. Instead, it's defaulting to the size of the image. But if you did a screenshot and did your image to fill in the exact correct places and then didn't move it, you'd be able to customize the look of the knobs and so on as if you were doing very fancy things. That explains why that was doing what it did. However, I will add that if we did user LED color blue, and then console bus LED color was, we'll call it red. Watch this. All I got to do is save this, get it playing. There's our blue colors for that. And the bus is now red colors for the LEDs. But wait, there's more, because that is a oak look, but supposing you want to be kind of gothic. Well, you can do a different arrangement. This is now using the Baskerville font and a image called Dark. I'm going to supply an image for you, but these are just off the internet. Well then, we can do this, but what if we also did nearest neighbor user interpolation? What do you suppose that does? We'll save, fire it up. And I can tell you one thing right away, which is it is tinting that blue because that is color-coded blue, but it's also failed to do the thing I wanted. So, oh, and that's because that's an underscore. I think it'll be okay with just as one word, but we'll try using a dash. I think in Juice it wants to be called nearest neighbor. Don't mind me, there's a lot to all this. Nearest neighbor. We'll save and see, you can make the meter look different too. If you prefer that slightly blockier look, if it works for something that you do. And you'll also notice that I'm using a weird sort of dark, but supposing this is not gothic enough for you. Supposing you just needed to go whole hog and none more gothic was what you were shooting for, well then you might use yet another font, one that is capital oriented, and go and find yet another look to play with. And next thing you know, you can do all of your stuff with this. I feel like maybe I didn't use the... I did. And we can just have endless fun with this sort of thing. Perhaps we would prefer, rather than such a funky thing, we'll go back to more of a trancey looking thing. And we've got our font set up. We've got our nice blue color for the LEDs. And we have also failed to I think it does want the no dash in that. So we'll save that. And then we'll fire it back up again, and here we are with our new look that might be nicer for doing, I don't know, techno or something. If this looks better to you, then you can have it. You can arrange the rest of this stuff however you like. It's a more powerfully color-coded blue one now. That's how you can tell it's the bass. And if you don't have a control surface, this will let you see where to click. And it doesn't matter if it is over your head on the top or down here on the bottom. It's all good. And so there you have it. Airwindows ConsoleX is yours to use now. It's finally out. It's been years. It includes the plugins that you've seen. It also includes a complete set of the audio unit and VST2 plugins for Mac and Windows and Linux. And those are the only ones available for Raspberry Pi, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think we're compiling these big, fancy, flashy ones for Raspberry Pi at this time. And also, it includes an example of the Airwindows globals, which I was doing all those changes in a little folder called Airwindows. You have to download the standalone plugin, the one that I linked directly to, rather than being in the collections of plugins, to get the example of Airwindows globals. But if you just make an Airwindows folder in your documents folder and Airwindows globals in that and copy what I wrote in it, it should work. Windows might have a different documents folder, but it's whatever Juice uses. So any computer probably has a folder that Juice will go looking for those things in. And I'm also including the Reaper-only script that is the Airwindowmation. And that's the one where it'll assign all of the faders on a control surface like this. It will assign all the faders to the console plugins based on what color coding they are, which I think is going to be useful for larger mixes and things like that. And you've got your output fader always controlling the master. And again, that's a Reaper-only thing because I am not aware of being able to script anything else as deeply. But if anybody wants to come up with ways of doing things like that in, I don't know, Logic or whatever, knock yourself out. The only way I knew how to do it was to do it in Reaper. And that is also included. I have explained as well as I could how to make it work, but you probably should know how to do Reaper scripting to make that work. If you don't have it, then you'll just be assigning the fader to a control surface on a track-by-track basis, or just use the mouse and control the whole thing on the screen. I hope you like ConsoleX. It's been a long time coming, and I will be doing some live streams this coming weekend where I mix some stuff using ConsoleX and the control surface and all of this stuff, because I didn't have enough time, this being a limited time video, I didn't have enough time to really get into the nitty-gritty of how to make all of these mix decisions work with 4 EQs, which are parallel to the compressor, by the way, and 2 compressors, and Stonefire with an airband. The control surface has a whole batch of send controls. All of the things that I've color-coded with are simply done using electrical tape, as you can see here. And it's been a journey, and the journey is now complete and ready for me to do other additional journeys as I go forward into additional things. But yeah, there's not going to be another plugin coming this coming weekend because this was it, and it's dropping on Christmas morning just because. And then I'll get back to putting out things like the channel high pass and low pass does actually come out as its own separate filter. And there's more reverbs and things like that as well. I've got more things coming along. But this is a big deal, and I really hope you like it. catch up with my live streams if you would like to see more examples of how to use this in practice. When I hear from Yale techs, as far as being able to order the control surface that I got from them, then I will let you know how you go about ordering that. Or you could simply reconstruct it, making all the same choices that I made. But it would be a lot of work, so I would like to at least offer the ability to start with this exact configuration. And both I and Yale techs would enjoy it very much if you made departures and customized it to your own needs. But for now, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.